Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well today. As you see today, I'm going to be working on fabricating a blast gate for my dust collection system. This is pretty easy to build, simple design, and hope you guys are able to do your own. So what I did is I traced the PVC on the back side of the piece of wood and actually fastened it directly to the piece of wood. You'll understand why I did this in a few minutes. From here I just take the drill a whole bunch of holes, and from there I will take a jigsaw and actually try to hog out as much of the material as I can. So you can start to see how I took the center of the wood out of there. I probably could have taken a little bit more, but I just didn't want to nick the pipe. I figured I'd just be better off playing safe than sorry. And then from here you can see I'm going to take a flush trim router and just plunge that into the wood and use the bearing that's on the router to allow me to make a nice clean flush cut. Quick side note, depending on what size screw heads you used when you actually attach the PVC to the wood, just be careful, because if they stick out too far, there's a chance that you may actually hit the metal with the router bit. Don't recommend it. I definitely did it the first time because I wasn't really paying attention and scared the living daylights out of myself. One other recommendation I have for you guys, when you're doing this type of woodwork, using a router or any of your tools really, I do recommend you actually wear safety glasses. I unfortunately was not paying attention, and I ended up not wearing my safety glasses on this one. While I was okay this time, I always recommend you do wear safety glasses because there's wood chips flying everywhere, and like I said, I got lucky on this time, didn't get myself hurt, but you never really want to catch a piece of wood to the eye. So strong recommend, always wear your safety glasses when you're doing this kind of work. Here's where you can see why I used the router to do what I did. It basically just uses the PVC as a guide, and you can just cut that wood perfect to the size opening that you need. By having it nice and tight to the opening, you just reduce any chances of drag or spots where dust can collect. It just makes for a nice finish as well. And like every good baker, I of course had a second one in the oven. Was able to go ahead and pull that one out and just show you how well they line up. Alright, so here's where you see the gate actually starting to come together. Right now I'm just gluing the backstop in place, and that'll be used to actually stop the gate. Now you'll notice that I'm actually using two pieces there that are cut to the same length. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just using those two pieces to ensure that those side rails are actually parallel to one another. That's really quite imperative in order to make sure the gate functions correctly, in order to make sure you have a nice tight seal around it. And from here I'll just start gluing down those side rails, again constantly checking to make sure that they're parallel to one another. If you don't have these little clamps that you see me using, I strongly recommend them. They're really cheap at many of your local hardware stores. I think I paid $1 a piece for these at Home Depot a couple days ago. And to be honest with you, you just can't ever seem to have enough of them. I have 10 or 12 of them laying around, and I could probably use another 10 more. So here, while the glue is still wet, I just recommend just try and slide your piece up and down just to make sure you have a good fit. If not, just make your adjustments before the glue dries, and it's just a lot easier. So, one of the concerns I had was that I was going to get excess dust build up in these corners. So while I was actually setting this up for the actual slide itself, in order to make a nice tight fit, I actually took and just cut this used to be one whole piece of wood. I went ahead and cut the radius off the end of the wood. So that way I was a guarantee that I knew it would actually align and make a nice tight seal. So nice and good there. And you'll notice that the wood finish is a little bit different on this here. I actually ran this through the planer and I took about a 64th of an inch off. Just enough to make it to where it slides in there a little bit easier. Some people will actually build paper up along this edge just to build up a little bit of a difference. I figured, you know, instead of having the paper and a chance for it to actually bubble up, I just went ahead and did this. That way, a little cleaner. If you have access to a planer, it makes it a lot easier. If you don't, then you can just build yourself a little paper gasket to build yourself the extra bit you need. So one of the things I decided to do with this is actually screw the top to the bottom. I want to do this so that I could actually take it apart in the future if I needed to. Say I had something lodged into the actual bottom of the gate and I couldn't get it closed. This way just makes it a little bit easier for me to just take the whole thing apart, clean it out, and put it back together. So what I'm going to do now is just go and clamp it all back together and then come back with a drill and start screwing the whole thing to it. Now I do recommend before final assembly, just do one last test to make sure everything fits and works like it's supposed to. You see me actually sliding the gate in, ensure that there's actually plenty of clearance for it to slide freely. I was debating whether or not to actually put a paste wax on the wood to help it slide, but I was a little bit afraid that if I did that, dust and stuff would start to stick to it. So that's why I just left it dry, and it seemed to work out pretty well for now.
By the way, quick test for functionality. Make sure I didn't over tighten anything. There it goes. Oops, put that in backwards.
There you go. So I did a quick test, but I realized the handle was just way too long. So I figured I'd go to the bandsaw real quick and just make us a little bit smaller handle so it fits the space a little better. And finally just do a little bit of cleanup work on the sides and she's ready to go. Right, and so here it is all installed. See here, I drew some lines on there just so I know where full open and full close was. Works out pretty well. Ties into the main trunk, goes all the way back down to here. So you see this line here, this is actually like a secondary connection. I'm using this just for like a regular cleanup. A shop vac hose hooks up to it pretty well. But works pretty well. I'm happy with it. I just need to go back and just put a bead of caulk around the top and the bottom here, and that'll have it all nice and sealed up pretty well. Although to be honest with you, even when it's running, I don't really feel hardly any air at all coming around from there. So, but hope you enjoyed it, and good luck building your own. Thanks. Thank you for watching. If you like the videos, if you just hit the like and subscribe, and you can get updates whenever I send anything else out. Thank you.